Welcome to our second rip training workout. In this workout, we're going to take a similar format where it's going to be 45 seconds of work, 15 seconds recovery, and in between, we're going to build you all the way through to doing several stability exercises. Then we're going to start to do some activation, building into a little bit of strength, and finishing with some power exercises as well. But let's always begin our workouts with a good warm-up so we can start to mobilize the body. So preparing yourself with some up dogs and downward dogs to begin with. So hinging forwards from your hips, walk your hands out in front of you. And the first thing we're going to do is lower your hips down towards the floor, looking up towards the ceiling and feeling a little stretch through the front of the hip. Then press into the heels of the hand, pushing the heels of the feet down towards the floor and just starting to feel the little stretch through the back of the legs. Let's repeat this into your up dogs. Eyes look up, roll the shoulder blades back. And again, push into that downward facing dog with the option of just walking the heels slightly, just so you can start to feel the hamstrings and the calves all come together. Let's come into that upwards facing dog again and just start to play around with the position, moving around a little bit through the hips, and again push into that downward facing dog, and again you can explore the range of movement through the shoulder as well. Okay, now from this position we're going to walk you all the way back up, roll up through the spine so we get plenty of mobility through the spine, roll yourself back down, walking again into that upwards and downward facing dog. But this time, after that downward facing dog, we're going to take the world's greatest running stretch. So lifting the foot up, taking it up towards your hand, reaching your hand up high towards the ceiling. A little bit of weight for the back leg so you start to separate through the feet. Bring the hand back down in towards the floor. Step back to your downward facing dog and then over to the opposite side. Opposite hand reaches up. And again, equal weight through both feet. Push that back heel down so you just start to stretch a little. Bring the hand down inside the foot, step back to downward facing dog. Let's do it all again. As you take that large step up, again just start to explore the position. Let the eyes look up towards the fingertips, and again bring the hand back down inside the foot, step back to downward facing dog, reach the opposite foot up towards your hand. If you're starting to struggle to get your foot up to where your hand is, it's not a problem to actually lift your foot up, place it into a better position where you would like it as well. Let's just walk your hands all the way back up, roll up through your spine, and just loosen yourselves out a little bit. Now let's start to just mention the first exercise we're going to do. It's called a rip drag squat. So we're going to face towards the anchor point on this one. And we're actually going to think about getting your rip trainer to be stuck to your chest. And I want you to find a comfortable squatting-like position. So get your feet into a position where you feel comfortable, lower yourself down, and just test whether that is enough resistance or whether you need to move forwards or backwards. And I'm looking for you to keep the rip trainer almost in contact with your chest the whole time. Eyes look towards the anchor point. Let's start our 45 seconds of squatting up and down, but maintaining the activation of the upper back muscles and through the arms as you keep that rip trainer right next towards your sternum as well. Now the benefit of keeping your eyes looking towards the anchor point, it just helps keep alignment as well. So that way then you can start to make sure that your body isn't rotating, and you can just start to think about a bit of a body check. Just scan your body and start to think about whether you're rotating. Are your knees coming forwards on one side? Have you got equal shoulders? So just imagine this outer body experience, checking on the body, making sure that everything is working as straight as possible. Just moving up and down in this tube, so that way then you can maintain good positions. Okay, let's swap it over to the opposite side. Base hand is going to be out in front of you into a nice comfortable position. Bring it in towards the sternum. Get that power hand to make sure it's nice and stable. And again, same thing, moving up and down. And again, if you've got yourself lined up perfectly with that anchor point, just start to scan the body, making sure that everything's in alignment again. Maybe you start to think about where your weight distribution is in between your feet. Is the weight coming onto the ball of your foot when you're lowering down? Hopefully not. We're looking for the weight to be equal into the four corners of your feet so you can really get that good strong grounding position. Imagine a bit of string is pulling you up from the top of your head so you really do get that vertical movement up and straight back down again. You might start to feel like one side is working a little bit harder holding this bar position. It's quite often we have some bodies which are not symmetrical as well, so you can really start to identify those things. Now let's have a look at a rip lateral lunge rotation. So what we're looking for here is that lateral lunge out towards the side, but we're going to put a bit of rotation. So to begin with, we start in a stack position. Base hand is going to come down next to the hip, power hand is going to push the rip trainer out in front of you, and you're going to take a large lunge, and you're going to put a little bit of rotation just on the end of that as well. So once you've secured the foot position and you've transferred the weight over, give it a little bit of rotation at the end and then step back again. Now when you're going into this big hip range of movement, this is why that world's greatest running stretch was a great position to go into. It starts to work on internal and external rotation of the hip. So it's great just to start to feel where the hip can explore. And you might start to find that your range of movement increases. You might find that you can start to rotate that rip trainer at the end of each movement as well. So just explore where your body feels comfortable. Okay, relax there. Let's turn it around, swap it into the opposite direction, and you're going to start to be able to see exactly how your body is symmetrical here, or start to find some weaknesses as well. So starting into a position where the rip trainer is right next to your hip and your power hand is out in front of you, large lunge, and then a little rotation at the end, and then step back again. When you're going into these positions, try to control the movement back in towards you. You might start to find that one side is able to control the movement a little bit better than the other. So taking that large lateral lunge with just a little rotation at the end, where the rip trainer just starts to move. And in terms of how far it's going to move, you're probably looking around about 6 inches the most, okay? So nothing too much. Just looking to try to challenge the body a little bit as well, just so you can start to really get all the muscles working as much as possible. And relax there. Great job, well done. Okay, now the next exercise is we're going to continue the theme of working on resisted rotation, where we're going to start to use the rip windmill. So what we're going to do is we're going to get you set up with a squat position. Now again, that rip stack where the bar is right next to the hip, and what we're going to do is we're going to go into a squat, and what we're trying to do is to keep the band and the cord under resistance the whole time, and you're trying to create this circle in front of you. So if you imagine where your hip starts from, you're trying to draw a big circle around your hip. Now be mindful that when you start to come back towards the anchor point, you might get pulled in. So at this point, you really have to resist that rotation and keep both your hands pushing and pulling against the bar to maintain that perfect circle. And again, you're trying to create the widest circle as you can. If it's too challenging for you, go to a smaller circle and then build that range of movement back up again. Okay, relax. Let's take it over to the opposite side. Remember the top tips in this one, keep pulling against your hip and keep pushing away. So you really start to activate across your torso so you can start to maintain that perfect circle as well. Let's get you set up for success. Comfortable squat position, find me that rip stack position again. And then from here, we're going to squat down and bring yourself back up. Now you can go clockwise, you could go anti-clockwise. You can find any range of movement that you feel comfortable in here. Now, although this is a windmill, because of the circular action, you can start writing letters here and starting to change that bar path as a way of giving you a bit of variability in your exercises as well. And again, when you're doing these big circles, if it feels too much, take a smaller circle, but think about trying to draw a circle on the wall or draw a circle around your hip as you look towards a mirror or a screen as well. Okay, relax there. Good job. Now the next exercise is a rip squat overhead press, and we're going to do a pivot on the feet. So let me just show you this one. Your feet are going to end up both pivoted with your arms above your head. So you need to make sure that you can get into that end range, and then you're going to get yourself into a big push position, pivoting off both feet, and each time you have to pivot both feet back. Now to do that, you need to be on the ball of the feet, pushing the bar from the center of the chest up above the head, and again, just find exactly where your target point is for the bar. And then as soon as you start to that pivot, lock your eyes in like a laser focus, and you're going to find that accuracy, and that will give you a little bit of consistency, pivoting off your feet. Now this pivoting movement is great for any sports, like team sports or any direction change as well. So a great workout for just neurological awareness, pivoting to make sure that your body is focused on where it is based on the ground and moving into a direction as well. Let's turn it around and get you set up for success on the other side. Start with that end range position. If you can't hold that end range just for a few seconds, then you need to adjust it, either moving away or further to the anchor point, and just start to pivot those feet. Start to lock in laser-like focus with your eyes, aiming for that bar path to be in that same consistent position, and pivot off the ball of the feet. And that's both feet as well. So you can just feel your heels are rotating towards the anchor point as you push those arms away. A lot of the work is done by your eyes locking into position and then relying on the fact that your body is starting to learn this neurological position where you're starting to extend and get that perfect timing where weight distribution is equally done. Good job. Okay, relax there. The next exercise is a rip jump row, a dynamic exercise where we're going to bring in almost like a half squat. Facing towards the anchor point, base hand is going to be holding and around about mid zones on the Rip Trainer as well. So just give me a little bit of a squat and I want you to push yourself up off the floor and bring the bar in towards you. Now to make this harder, move further away from your anchor point, make it a more dynamic jump, bring in a little bit more height, and you are just going to allow the Rip Trainer just to rotate out in front of you a little bit, which will just give you a nice range of movement to pull, especially in that power hand, flying elbow backwards to get into that strong position as well. Let's make sure the heart rates go up. So try to push yourself here. Last couple of repetitions and relax. Oh, give those legs a little bit of a shake. Roll the shoulders through. Let's get you set up. So remember, 45 seconds of work, 15 seconds recovery. It does go quickly. Let's get you set up. Show me that end range of movement again. Making sure you're in a comfortable position, and let's get going. 45 seconds of work again. Keep reaching those arms out in front of you. Pull the elbow back. Strong positions. You will get that little rotation forwards, but don't let the rotation own your body. I want you to lean forwards into a little bit of a squat, but don't get pulled too far towards the anchor point. Keep that explosive power. It's where your heart rate's going to hit the highest point today, probably. Keep going strong. And relax there. Great job. Okay. Now we're going to give you a little bit of recovery and you're going to need it. The next exercise is a rip shuffle press. So for this one, going to shuffle, press, and come back. Now remember those pivot mechanics from the earlier exercises? Let's bring those into play. Athletic stance, shuffle, pivot, and press. Shuffle, pivot, and press. Once you've got the mechanics of that pivot off the back foot, and you've opened out the front foot slightly, that's when you're going to have that dynamic movement, keeping as much resistance on the band as possible. You can start to travel a little bit further away if you've got the power. Keep that strong position. Keep moving as quick as possible. With 10 seconds left to go, let's see if you can speed it up a little bit more. We're trying to keep your heart rates up a little bit here. Keep that power moving and relax there. Okay, I'm going to swap it over straight away. Find that end range position. Bar path out in front of you. Pivot it off the back foot. Equal weight between both feet. Now if I know I've got that position, a little shuffle back. Trying to keep a little bit of resistance on the cord. Let's get going. Shuffle, shuffle, pivot and push. Now making sure that you're keeping the foot, especially that back foot, grounded as well. I want you to imagine there's a bug on the floor and you're trying to squish that bug by pushing it into the floor. And the reason for that is you gain so much more that posterior chain working through the transverse plane, and that will give you more activation and it'll give you more stability in your end range of movement as well. And relax there. Good job. Okay, allowing your heart rate to come back down a little bit more. Let's start to be focused on the upper body to allow the heart rate to come back down. The next exercise is a rip axe chop. Standing face away from the anchor point, and the same thing, separating those hands onto the bar. You're going to be pushing your power hand away, pulling your base hand in towards the sternum, and then back down again. Now check this out. Can you see that I'm extending up onto the ball of the foot in that back range of movement as well? So this overhead axe chop, imagine you've got a sharp blade and I want you to slice through any target that's in front of you. And again, be mindful of that target as well. If you can be consistent on the target, you're going to start to learn that movement pattern a little bit easier, and you're going to start to feel whether you've got the foundation to extend that arm away and be successful in it as well. Okay, relax. Let's swap the arms over. 15 seconds goes quickly, so let's set up the bar path, making sure you've got your comfortable hand positions. Up onto the back foot, give me that end range movement, hold it there. Okay, if we're happy and you're comfortable, let's get working on these. So again, great exercise for the upper body, especially the triceps, and activating and stabilizing through the shoulders. So really nice exercise, hard on the arms, but still activating and working through the legs as well. Be consistent. We don't want you flossing your teeth with that resistance cord. If it's starting to move too far around in front of you, find me that perfect target and try and be consistent as you can in towards it. Push the power hand away from you. Pull that base hand in towards the sternum so you get a smooth squeeze-like position. And making sure those muscles fully activate, so try to really hold that end range position just for a second, and that allows almost the resistance band to settle while it's still moving. Okay, now the next exercise is a rip samurai strike. Fantastic one. This is a little bit different. Earlier in our first workout we went low for a hockey slap shot. This one we're going to go around about torso height, so between the hips and the bottom of the ribs. Same sort of setup. You can pivot if you want to, or you can step into it. Your choice. I'll start with just the pivot. And you're looking just to strike the arm out in front of you. Check out this base hand, gives me a little bit of space, and I pull that base hand quickly in towards my sternum. And that gives me a little bit of room to get that power hand out in front to give me the big workout. Now I'm going to step into these last 10 seconds. So join me if you want a little bit more power. This will give you a little bit more of a metabolic condition again, because your heart rate will start to go up as you start to increase that range of movement. Okay, relax there. Let's turn it around. Face the opposite direction. Base hand out in front of you, give yourself a little bit of room. Power hand, palm faces up and strikes out in front of you, and you're looking between hip to rib height. Let's go. With a pivot to begin with, create that space out in front of you and pull that base hand in towards the bottom of the ribs or the sternum as you start to push that power hand out in front of you. I quite like to have a light grip onto the rip trainer here. I find if you start to squeeze the rip trainer too tightly, it's hard to just allow your body and your hands to have a little bit of hand coordination, where you just need to adapt the hands to give you the best position as well. Okay, here comes your last 10 seconds. So I'm going to start to take a little step into this now. Join me if you want a little bit more work. Making sure you get that base hand out in front and put it quickly so that power hand starts to develop the power. Don't be surprised if the cord starts to just come against you as you're whipping it so quickly. Now, my favorite rip training exercise. This is the rip 90-degree jump press. Great exercise. What we're going to do is we're going to jump you out in front and then jump 90 degrees, a little bit of backwards movement as well. Let's get going. Push out the bar out in front of you, and I want you to drop into a squat position. So you do get down into a little half squat, pushing the arms out in front of you, keeping that movement going, keeping tension on the rip train if you can. We don't want to let it start to slacken off. Again, big metabolic movement here. Now you've got just 10 seconds to go. Can we start to get that movement? Give me a target out in front of you. Get quick with the feet, light with the feet. Start to jump them into position and get back out of that quickly. Relax there. Okay, last one coming up. Let's get you set up for success. As always, end range position. Can you hold it there for a second? Then you're ready. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. The last 45 seconds of work. I want you to do as much as you can do. Get away from the anchor point if you feel comfortable to do so. Get both arms to extend out in front of you. Drop into that squat. Quick footwork here. Go on, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. Get the bar away from the chest. Keep that speed up if you can. With 15 seconds left to go, can you empty the tank of gas now, leaving yourself breathless, earning and deserving the rest and recovery. And relax there. Great job, everybody, well done. You should be feeling out of breath. You should have worked hard to give yourself the best workout possible. If you've enjoyed that, that's great. Look out for some more Rip Training videos coming up soon.